Good. I think I started the recording. Okay, we're good. Okay, so um, so Bhakti Yoga. This is described in ancient literatures called the Vedas, and there are Veda means knowledge. So really, actually, there's Vedas for all branches. There's Vedas on rocket science, there's Vedas on how to calculate um, how about time, the very nature of time, calculating time. The essential unit of time is the time it takes for the sun to traverse the width of one atom. There's Vedas on dance, on military science. And of course, all the Vedas are meant to support self-realization, the self turning towards itself and self-realization, and the self turning towards Source, God, in a spirit of devotion. So that service to God with love and devotion, that's called bhakti. And that's actually the goal of all, that's actually the goal of all, ultimately all genuine spiritual traditions. So even if we look at, like, let's say, something like the Old and New Testament, when Jesus was asked, what's the most important text? He wasn't asked what's the most important text in the Old Testament, because there was no New Testament. So what's the most important text in the Hebraic literatures? He responded, "V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levavcha b'kol nafshcha b'kol modecha v'hayu." That's Hebrew. It said, "Love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might." So the ultimate goal of genuine spiritual process isn't to be good and go to heaven, although that can be a nice byproduct. The ultimate goal is to realize who we are as one with God in a sense and simultaneously separate. And an analogy given in the ancient Vedas is like, let's say we're here and it's 6 a.m. in the morning, and we can say, oh, the sun is coming into the home of Rosa, right? Because that's true, the sunlight is non-different from the sun. So it's true, the sun's coming into the room. But when we say the sunlight's coming into the home, we're not saying the sun globe is in Rosa's living room. No, the sun globe is actually a stellar body 1.4 million times the volume of the Earth planet. So it couldn't fit. So the sun rays, they're they're not completely different from the sun. They're qualitatively the same. They emanate light and heat, just like the sun globe. So they are the sun, but they're not exactly the same either. Similarly, we, the irreducible quantum of consciousness that inhabits the body, we are we're not completely different from the supreme personality of Godhead. And at the same time, we're not the sun globe. And there's distinctions also. Hare Krishna, welcome. Welcome to our Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Reina, welcome. Good to see you. Glad you're here. So so we started the program with some mantra yoga. Mantra yoga. Hello, Lindsay. Welcome. We started the program with some mantra yoga. And yoga, this term yoga has become known in recent decades around the world. But what's the actual meaning? Like the English word to yoke comes from the Sanskrit yoga. Essentially, yoga means to connect in its essential meaning, the self connecting with itself in self awareness and connecting with the absolute, again, in a spirit of devotion. So, what we just did is yoga through sound vibration, through the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And that's like a cornerstone of the whole process of bhakti yoga. And we're going to talk, what is bhakti yoga? We're going to talk about that. That's as we continue in our program. So we're going to read an epic bhakti Vedic literature. We're going to read from an epic bhakti Vedic literature called Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is well known around the world. But Srimad Bhagavatam, it's like the follow-up literature. It's like the graduate study of Bhagavad Gita. So it gets rather intricate. And but that's what we're gonna read a text from. Um, Almost always at these programs, we read a text from Bhagavad Gita. Rosa Rasamrita requested something from Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's a verse that's very dear to me. I mean, I've been studying the books of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami for about 46 years, and all his dozens of books over and over again. It's a cornerstone of my personal spiritual practice, a main cornerstone. And this verse, from the first time I read it, the text and purport, profoundly intrigued me. And I've been going back to it again and again. And each time I get fresh realization and meaning. So let's see where we go. We'll start with some invocation mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamuddirayat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Naranarayan Rishi, the suprmost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat utama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. We're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, entitled The Lord in the Heart, Text 35. It's Saturday, June 13th, 2026. So we'll start with the Sanskrit words responsively. Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Sarvabhuteshu
Teshu
Lakshita
Vakshita
Svatmana
Svatmana
Hari
Hari
Drishir
Rishare
Udyadibir
Udyanibir
Drashta
Shta
Lakshaner
Lakshaner
Anumapakai
Anumapakaye
Bhagavan Sarvabhuteshu
Bhagavan Sarvabhuteshu
Lakshita Svatmana Hari
Lakshita Svatmana Hari
Drishir Budyadibir Drashta
Rishare Udyanibir Shta
Lakshaner Anumapakai
Apakai
Bhagavan Sarvabhuteshu
Sarvabhuteshu
Lakshita Svatmana Hari
Shita Svatmana Hari
Drishir Budyadibir Drashta
Rishare Udyanibir Shta
Lakshaner Anumapakai
Lakshaner Anumapakai
Bhagavan Sarvabhuteshu
Sarvabhuteshu
Lakshita Svatmana Hari
Shita Svatmana Hari
Drishir Budyadibir Drashta
Rishare Udyanibir Shta
Lakshaner Anumapakai
Apakai Bhagavan Sarvabhuteshu
Bhagavan Sarvabhuteshu
Tasvatmana Hari
Lakshita Svatmana Hari
Sharbhuja Vinirdrashta
Trishir Budyadibir Drashta
Anumap Anumapakai Lakshmir Anumapakai Bhagavan Sarva Bhuteshu
Bhagavan Sarvabhuteshu
Lakshita Svatmana Hari
Lakshita Svatmana Hari
Shir Buddhi Adibir Drashta
Trishir Budyadibir Drashta
Lakshaner Anumapakai
Lakshaner Anumapakai Hare Krishna, welcome. Would anyone else like to lead the chanting of the verse? Okay, let's study the word meaning. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead.
Personality of Godhead.
Sarva,
All.
Bhuteshu,
Bhuteshu.
in the living entities.
In the living entities.
Lakshita,
Lakshita.
is visible. Sva
Atmana.
along with the self.
Along with the self.
Hari,
Hari.
the Lord.
The Lord.
Drishai,
Drishai.
by what is seen.
What is seen.
Buddhi Adibi,
Buddhi Adibi.
by intelligence.
By intelligence.
Drashta,
Drashta.
one who sees.
One who sees.
Lakshanai,
Lakshanai.
by different signs.
By different signs.
Anumapakai,
Anumapakai.
by hypothesis. Translation. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 35. Welcome. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is in every living being along with the individual soul. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence. I'll read it again, and then we'll explore what's the meaning here. What's our realizations? What's our perspectives? The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is in every living being along with the individual soul, and this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The general argument of the common man is that since the Lord is not visible to our eyes, how can one either surrender unto him or render transcendental loving service unto him? To such a common man, here is a practical suggestion given by Srila Shukadev Goswami as to how one can perceive the Supreme Lord by reason and perception. So here, in the purport, in the verse, we're guided in how to use logic to realize distinctions. Knowledge is power. Power or knowledge or intelligence means the power to make distinctions. So it makes distinctions between self and non-self, body and matter, gross matter and subtle matter, and between the spiritual self and what's called the Supersoul, and between the Supersoul and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so let's continue. By reason and perception. Actually, the Lord is not perceivable by our present materialized senses. But when one is convinced of the presence of the Lord by a practical service attitude, there is a revelation by the Lord's mercy, and such a pure devotee of the Lord can perceive the Lord's presence always and everywhere. He can perceive that intelligence is the form direction of the Paramatma plenary portion of the personality of Godhead. The presence of Paramatma in everyone's company is not very difficult to realize, even for the common man. The procedure is as follows. One can perceive one's self-identification and feel positively that he exists. He may not feel it very abruptly, but by using a little intelligence, he can feel that he is not the body. He can feel that the hand, the leg, the head, the hair, and the limbs are all his bodily parts and parcels, but as such, the hand, the leg, the head, etc., cannot be identified with his self. Therefore, just by using intelligence, he can distinguish and separate his self from other things that he sees. So, the natural conclusion is that the living being, either man or beast, is the seer, and he sees besides himself all other things. So there is a difference between the seer and the seen. I'll read that again. There is a difference between the seer and the seen. Now, by a little use of intelligence, we can also readily agree that the living being who sees the things beyond himself by ordinary vision has no power to see or to move independently. All our ordinary actions and perceptions depend on various forms of energy supplied to us by nature in various combinations. When I say I have a power of seeing, I can see, let's say if there was no sun, we don't see anything. If there's no light, so our seeing is dependent, our hearing is dependent on ether and air and waves like that. Okay. All right, let's continue to read and explore. Our senses of perception and of action, that is to say, our five perceptive senses of hearing, touch, sight, taste, and smell, as well as our five senses of action, namely hands, legs, speech, evacuation organs, and reproductive organs, and also our three subtle senses, namely mind, intelligence, and ego, 13 senses in all, are supplied to us by various arrangements of gross or subtle forms of natural energy. And it is equally evident that our objects of perception are nothing but the products of the inexhaustible permutations and combinations of the forms taken by natural energy. As this conclusively proves that the ordinary living being has no independent power of perception or emotion, and as we undoubtedly feel our existence being conditioned by nature's energy, we conclude that he who sees is spirit and that the senses, as well as the objects of perception, are material. The spiritual quality of the seer is manifest in our dissatisfaction with the limited state of materially conditioned existence. That is the difference between spirit and matter. There are some less intelligent arguments that matter develops the power of seeing and moving as a certain organic development, but such an argument cannot be accepted because there is no experimental evidence that matter has anywhere produced a living entity. Srila Prabhupada, no, he's writing this really in the late 60s. So here we are about 60 years later. Someone can say, oh, life comes from matter. Life comes from matter. It's a combination of molecules and subatomic particles. It's simply consciousness is simply an epiphenomenon of a combination of matter in certain states. Okay, so one can believe that, and we're asserting that such a belief requires lots of blind faith, lots of blind faith. Science means, okay, we can have an experiment, an experience. So where has anyone ever experienced life, a conscious entity arising from a combination of matter? Has anyone, any scientist, whether in the 60s or the 1800s or the 2020s, has anyone ever combined matter to produce, let's not even speak of a human, an amoeba, a mosquito? As far as I'm aware, it's never happened. In nature, we see a tree comes from a seed, which comes from a living tree. We come from parents who come from parents who are living. Life comes from life. That's what's being asserted here. And that can be directly perceived. That's fundamental to the scientific method. All right, let's continue here. Okay, matter, but such an argument cannot be accepted because there is no experimental evidence that matter has anywhere produced a living entity. Trust no future, however pleasant. In the future, we're going to produce, like, okay, yeah, like it's a, a check with no money in the account. Okay. Idle talks regarding future development of matter into spirit are actually foolish because no matter has ever developed the power of seeing or moving in any part of the world. Therefore, it is definite that matter and spirit are two different identities, and this conclusion is arrived at by the use of intelligence. Now we come to the point that the things which are seen by a little use of intelligence cannot be animate unless we accept someone as the user of or director of the intelligence. Intelligence gives one direction like some higher authority, and the living being cannot see or move or eat or do anything without the use of intelligence. When one fails to take advantage of intelligence, he becomes a deranged man, and so a living being is dependent on intelligence or the direction of a superior being. Such intelligence is all-pervading. Every living being has his intelligence, and this intelligence, being the direction of some higher authority, is just like a father giving direction to his son. The higher authority who is present and residing within every individual living being is the superself. At this point in our investigation, we may consider the following question. On the one hand, we realize that all our perceptions and activities are conditioned by arrangements of material nature, yet we also ordinarily feel and say, I am perceiving, or I am doing. Therefore, we can say that our material senses of perception and action are moving because we are identifying the self with the material body, and that the superior principle of superself is guiding and supplying us according to our desire. By taking advantage of the guidance of superself in the form of intelligence, we can either continue to study and to put into practice our conclusion that I am not this body, or we can choose to remain in the false material identification, fancying ourselves to be the possessors and doers. Our freedom consists in orienting our desire either toward the ignorant material misconception or the true spiritual conception. We can easily attain to the true spiritual conception by recognizing the superself, Paramatma, to be our friend and guide, and by dovetailing our intelligence with the superior intelligence of Paramatma. The super self and the individual self are both spirit, and therefore the super self and the individual self are both qualitatively one and distinct from matter. But the super self and the individual self cannot be on an equal level because the super self gives direction or supplies intelligence, and the individual self follows the direction, and thus actions are performed properly. The individual is completely dependent on the direction of the superself because in every step the individual self follows the direction of the superself in the matter of seeing, hearing, thinking, feeling, willing, etc. So far as common sense is concerned, we come to the conclusion that there are three identities, namely matter, spirit, and superspirit. Now, if we go to the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedic intelligence, we can further understand that all three identities, namely matter, individual spirit, and the super spirit, are all dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhagavad Gita affirms that the Supreme Personality of Godhead dominates all over the material world by his partial representation only. God is great, and he cannot be simply an order supplier of the individual selves. Therefore, the super self cannot be a full representation of the supreme self, Purushottama, the absolute personality of Godhead. Realization of the super self by the individual self is the beginning of self-realization, and by the progress of such self-realization, one is able to realize the supreme personality of Godhead by intelligence, by the help of authorized scriptures, and principally by the grace of the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary conception of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the further explanation of the science of Godhead. So if we stick to our determination and pray for the mercy of the director of intelligence sitting within the same bodily tree like a bird sitting with another bird, as explained in the Upanishads, certainly, the purport of the revealed information in the Vedas becomes clear to our vision, and there is no difficulty in realizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. The intelligent man, therefore, after many births of such use of intelligence, surrenders himself at the lotus feet of Vasudeva, as confirmed by the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 19. Before continuing to discuss, I'm going to chant a few more texts to continue to invoke auspiciousness in our gathering. And my purpose also is kind of in a prayerful mood. I'm praying that whatever I may speak authentically in an authorized way represents the spirit and the content of Srila Prabhupada and the ancient Vedas. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitams Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachidesha Tarine. Studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 35. Bhagavan Sarva Bhuteshu Lakshita Svatmanahari Drishera Buddhyadi Birdrashta Lakshaneranupa Lakshaneranumapakai. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is in every living being, along with the individual soul. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence. Hare Krishna. So just so everyone, that's not working. Huh?
There you
There we go. We did it. Good for me. Okay. We have international participants online, and here we are in Gainesville, Florida, at the home ashram of Rosemary, Rasamrita. All right. So some of you are familiar with like our soft toe programs. And so, we focus a lot on like experience our experience. We say, oh, like I am to be connected with our experience. It's kind of like a foundational principle of conscious living, to be conscious, aware of what the emotions we're experiencing, the thoughts, the perceptions. Carl Jung said, "Till we make the unconscious conscious, it'll direct our life, and we'll call it fate." So if we're not conscious of what we're experiencing, then it drives our life from beneath the conscious surface. Okay. And then, with awareness of our experience, then then we get to choose where to give our power, and how to relate and respond to different experiences, whether it's an experience of an emotion, a feeling, anger, shame, joy, affection, a particular thought, or a physical sensation, or whatever it is. Okay. And so I am experiencing. I'm experiencing the feeling of. I'm experiencing a feeling of joy. I'm experiencing a feeling of anger. I'm experiencing tightness in my shoulder. I'm experiencing. Yeah, I'm experiencing the thought that, oh, I hope people like the talk I'm giving. Oh, I'm experiencing. Oh, am I? I'm not. I'm okay. All right. So there's the content of the experience, and there's three basic categories of content, like feeling, thought, and physical sensation. It's content. All right, but then let's get it. Like, yeah, I'm experiencing the feeling of resentment. I'm experiencing the feeling of grief. I'm experiencing. Okay, so we have like, yeah, so many experiences, but then where this verse is going, is like, okay. I'm not the experience. I'm the experiencer. I'm not the anger. I'm not the insecurity. I'm the experiencer. Okay, I'm the experiencer. In Western philosophy, at the kind of the dawn of the modernism, so we had the French philosopher Rene Descartes, and he goes through these meditations, and just basically goes through aspects of where this verse goes, of where this verse goes. Right. So he realized, like, oh, I'm not the finger. I'm not the finger. I'm not the leg. Oh, but I'm the experience. I am that irreducible quantum of consciousness that inhabits the body. So he came to that conclusion. Now he came to famously, I think, therefore I am. Okay. So that's yeah. So, okay, and then here we get more subtle distinctions. Yesterday I was talking to Katrina, and I gave an example from this was 11 years ago. I was in Colorado. Some of you have heard me share the story. And I was asked to give a keynote talk at a hospital. And so most of the audience was medical personnel, medical professionals, doctors, nurses, some psychiatrists like that. So I started the talk and I said, supposing someone comes to you and said, I've hurt my finger. I've hurt my finger. So I said, in that simple phrase, I said to the doctors and nurses, there are two entities, and there are two entities. There's the finger and the owner of the finger. That's described here. We can see the finger. Who's the seer? So I asked the doctors and nurses, who are you treating? Are you treating the finger or the owner of the finger? They were kind of stunned. After a few seconds, the director of the hospital said, well, David Wolf, that's a simple question. Who are we treating? The finger or the owner of the finger? And so, but we never really thought about it. I said, yeah, it's important because essentially the finger is made of the same stuff as this table or the chair. It's dead matter. There's no healing potency in the finger. The healing potency is in that atomic unit of sentience that inhabits the finger. So that's one vital distinction. Matter, and it's very key, matter and self, soul. The, the content of the experience and the experiencer. Okay. And to get more subtle distinction than Descartes went, because I think therefore, so like Descartes realized, oh yeah, I'm not the leg, I'm not this body, I'm not this kind of gross external body. It seems, I mean, it's not for me to say what realizations Rene Descartes had, but it seems based on his writings, he didn't quite realize he's not the mind either. That gets into a more subtle distinction. We can use a computer analogy to get into that subtlety. Right? We're not the hardware. Hardware is like this, fingers and earth, water, fire, air. And we're not the software either. That's described here extensively. Described in Bhagavad Gita. Bhumira po naloi bayu kamana buddha evacha ahankara ityame bina prakriti ashtada. 8 categories of material energy. 5 what's called gross categories. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. And 3 subtle forms of material energy. Mind, intellect, and ahankara or false ego. So we're not the software either. We're the operator of the computer. So this isn't meant to just be some abstract discourse. Very practical. It's described later in the Bhagavatam, Bhayam Dvitiya Binivesha Tasya. To the degree that we misidentify the eternal spiritual being we are with the temporary material body, we will be in anxiety and we'll have neuroses and psychoses and we'll be insecure and we'll be miserable. The Greek philosopher Epictetus said, the essence of all philosophy is to live one's life such that one's happiness depends as little as possible on external things. External things means like if I can just adjust what's happening externally, then I'll be happy, fulfilled. Saint Francis said, we are searching for what is searching, indicating the nature of the self, alive to itself, the nature of the eternal spirit self, alive to itself, in devotional connection with super self. Prabhupada used that term a lot here, super self, is naturally blissful, free, secure, satisfied, loving, all of the qualities we're looking for. So St. Francis is indicating we're searching, I'll do that, I'll be that, I'll have that status, I'll have that person as a partner, I'll have that much money in the bank account, I'll have that car, then I'll be happy, satisfied, fulfilled. Always. It's chasing that carrot on the stick. So to the extent that we misidentify, so this is it's a vital distinction for happiness. To the extent we're not realized in this distinction between body and soul, we're going to be searching for happiness externally. Externally. Then, yeah, then there are more distinctions here, and we'll just briefly touch on them. I just read this a few minutes ago, and I've been reading this many times since the early 1980s, and I just got new, fresh questions and realizations. So this, for me, that's evidence. It's spiritual literature. Nature of spirit is that it's ever fresh, ever expanding. I've been chanting, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra has been the two pillars of my spiritual practice since the early 80s. It's a long time. That means I'm not 35 years old. Yeah, okay. um, or even 55 years old. Okay, so yeah, and I can say that like every time I read any one of Prabhupada's books, any part, every time I chant Hare Krishna, each year I'm more and more enthusiastic. The nature of material enjoyment, it's the law of diminishing returns, becomes more and more stale after a certain pinnacle. So, yes, okay. So this is so we discussed this earlier. So matter does not combine to form anything spiritual, anything conscious. Someone can argue, but there's just no evidence of that. Where there's unlimited trillions of evidences of life forming life. Consciousness comes from consciousness. Okay, and so matter has no consciousness, no will, no will. It's just like that cushion. It could be there for thousands of years. It'll never think, I want to go to that room over there. Never think that. Right? Like that. But if a conscious entity like myself or one of you, we say, okay, I want to move that cushion to that kitchen over there. So spirit moves matter. Okay? Or just moving a cushion. Just like I will, I want to drink a water, so I can move I move my fingers and like that. All right? Okay. So spirit moves matter. Okay. In that sense, consciousness is superior to that which is inanimate. Now, there's a lot of matter moving just in this body. Let's not even speak of the rotation of the planets. That even when I'm awake, like there's all sorts of blood coursing through corpuscles and digestion, and there's the limbic system, and there's the lymphatic system, and I mean, there's just a lot of stuff happening. And I can tell you, I'm not doing it. I can I'll do this. Even that. It's not really, I'm not really the doer. I'm the desirer. Anyhow, it gets more intricate. So, so what this verse is saying, text and purport, is like, because let's see, even when I'm like completely unconscious, I'm asleep. Okay, I'm asleep. There's so much brain waves happening, and there's so much happening. There's not a lot of matter moving. Well, me has that irreducible quanta of consciousness. That is the spirit soul. The body changes. Avinasi tuta vinigeni saramidam tata vinasham avyasya na kaschit kartum arhasi. Krishna says no. You see, know for certain that that the soul that pervades the body can never be destroyed. Because we talk a lot about being courageous or unstoppable and all that. Here's the thing. To the extent that we're misidentifying the eternal self with the material body, we're stoppable. The body will be crushed, it will be destroyed, maybe later today, maybe in 50 years. To the extent that we realize I'm a timeless spiritual being. Nainam chindanti shastrini, nainam dati pavaka. The soul can't be slashed by weapons, can't be drowned by water, can't be burned by fire. That's confidence. That's security. Yeah, that's what it means to be unstoppable. So, so that so it says, well, there must be another spiritual conscious entity in there, and that's what's described here. That's what's described here. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Jaham Ridisa Nivisto Matasmi Tirganama Pavanamcha. He says, just what is being said here. There's what's called the Supersoul or Super Self. The Sanskrit term is Paramatma. The soul is the Atma, and Supersoul is Paramatma. So sitting right next to us in the area of the heart, there's a full expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead guiding things. As we might say, we can accurately say, in the role of Supreme Facilitator. I like that name for the ultimate being, since I do a lot of facilitation in my life, so I endeavor to represent, to be an instrument of the Supreme Facilitator in the facilitation that I do. And so, Supreme Facilitator, reciprocating with our desires through material or spiritual energy, depending on the quality of our desire. In some approaches to spirituality, the goal is said to, because if we look, desires get me into problems. I'm sure we could all tell stories about desires getting me into trouble. I'm not going to ask for examples. And I'm not going to share examples. But we can all tell stories. And so, so in some approaches to spiritual life, the idea is yes. So just rid yourself of desire. Get rid of desire. Yes, that's the cause of all the troubles. So that sounds fine. The only problem with that is it's impossible. It's intrinsically impossible, completely 100% give it up. The nature of the self, the nature of the spiritual self is to desire, and that's not a bad thing. And so we have choice. We can desire materially or spiritually. Desiring to spiritually means desiring. We're going to desire, and the desire is going to take a form of service. It's going to take a form of service. We can serve in a material way, in a spiritual way. So directing our unavoidable propensity to serve and to desire to please super self, to please the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the heart. Okay. Then that's a desire that leads to a dynamic, ever-deepening inner joy and peace. Any other form of desire we won't be peaceful. We'll be full of anxiety. Bhukti mukti siddhi kami sakali ashanta Krishna bhakti nishkama ata eva shanta. If we direct our desire naturally in bhakti, then naturally the natural joy of the soul radiates and shines brightly. Radiates and shines brightly. So now there's another distinction here. Okay, so this is a little complex. There's this distinction between gross matter and subtle matter, hardware and software. There's a distinction between gross and subtle matter and the operator of the computer, the soul. There's a distinction between the soul, or Atma, and the super soul. And now, Srila Prabhupada in the purport and he's expanding on the text, he's saying, All right, so the super soul, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam srimad urjitam evava tatad eva vagachatvam mamatesham shasambhava. Krishna says, know that all these mighty, beautiful, and glorious creations of the material sphere spring from but a spark of my splendor. That's what Krishna says. So that spark, that's the super self in the heart of every living entity. Ishvara sarvabhutanam videsha arjuna tishtati. Krishna goes on to say, Ateva bhavnaitena kim gatena tavarjuna vistabhyamidam kritsnam ekam shenasti dojagat. Krishna says to Arjuna, so what need is there, O Arjuna, of all this detailed knowledge? With but a fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire material cosmos. So all of the, as we discussed earlier, in any genuine spiritual tradition, we'll find different strands. We'll find a strand of, in Sanskrit, karma. The idea is be good and go to heaven. We'll find strands of, in Sanskrit, jnana yoga. The idea is emerging into the great oneness. And in the Vedic tradition, like there's the jnana yogi, understanding the distinction between matter and spirit. And then there's the jnana yogi, the hatha yogi, making distinctions to realize the super soul in the heart. And then in any tradition, we quoted Jesus earlier, and the love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might. That's the ultimate goal, and that's bhakti. That's the universal. That's the universal expression of spirit souls in purity, to serve God with love and devotion. So Srila Prabhupada nicely makes the point, brilliantly makes the point in the purport, that like, okay, so we have this super soul in the heart who acts as a facilitator, and acts as a facilitator. And in this lifetime and across lifetimes. It's just like, Dihinosmi nita dehe komaram yovanam jara tata dehantara praptir diras tatra namuyate. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from childhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at the time of death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such change, right? So just like we're, we're we were, the spirit soul, we were in a baby body, a toddler body, a teenage body, middle age, okay, like that. Okay. But there's some constant identity. That's this that I call David. That's the soul. So similarly, yam yam vapi smam bhavam tajatyanti kalevam tam tam eviti kontia satitat bhava bhavita. Whatever state of consciousness we cultivate in this lifetime, will tend to be immersed in that consciousness at the time of the change of body called death. And just to deconstruct a little more, I can say, yeah, the soul doesn't die, only the body dies. More precisely, though, the body's already dead. Just like, say, if I'm driving a car, okay, an alien from the galaxy Andromeda observing Earth might think, oh, there's all these living entities called Chevrolet and Chrysler and Toyota. And sometimes these other parasite living entities called humans get in. But that's not actually the fact. The Toyota and the Honda and the Renault, they're not living entities. They appear alive because the driver's inside. So similarly, the body's made of dead stuff. Just like the car is always made of dead stuff, plastic, metal, rubber. The body's made of dead stuff. It appears animated because we're inside, we the spirit soul. So at the time of death, according to our consciousness, super soul, through the material energy or spiritual energy, depending on the quality of our consciousness, we get another body. That's the science of transmigration. So that's extensively described in these literatures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. So then Prabhupada's making the point. Srila Prabhupada says, but this, just like here as the souls in this world, we like to we go to work and we dance, we have fun, we have social gatherings, and we have intellectual pursuits and romantic pursuits and adventurous, and we have friendships and we have so much going on, and then we have skyscrapers. There's so much going on. So I said, suppose, does it really make sense that the Supreme Soul, who's like far, far, far superior, all the Supreme Soul does is facilitate our desires? No, that doesn't make sense. So that indicates, there's a source of the Supreme Soul with realms of enjoyment, right? Realms of positive bliss for the soul, not just relief of misery that goes in the name of material enjoyment. The more that one is addicted to material pleasures, the more that we're entrapped in material miseries. Srila Prabhupada writes, to try to be happy by adjusting the material atmosphere it's a useless endeavor. Indeed, it's impossible. So the actual positive happiness of the soul that comes in loving, spontaneous, devotional service, that's called bhakti, in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for example, as it's described in an ancient literature called Sri Brahma Samhita. Chintamani pakarasat masukalpavriksha Laksha viteshu surabhira vipalayantam Lakshmi sahasrasata sambrahma sevyamanam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who was tending the cows, yielding all desires in abodes built of spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees and served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis or gopis. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is engaged with pure associates and pure bhakti, in varieties of activities that make the variety of material activities pale in comparison. Pale in comparison. So we focused here on some core ontological realities and principles of Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the process of bhakti. And we haven't talked too much about the process itself of bhakti yoga, other than it means directing our unavoidable propensity for service to please the Supreme Soul, the Paramatma, and Bhagavan Sri Krishna. At the beginning of our program today, about a little over an hour ago, we started with some mantra yoga in the form of kirtan. And this, chanting the names of the divine is a primary way to engage in bhakti. There are other ways. There are 9 categories of bhakti yoga service, but that's a primary way. Chanting the names of God. In Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitanyamate Smarine Nakalai Tadrashi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Doradevam Idrashami Hajanina Nuraga. Says that the absolute God has unlimited names, and each of them are transcendental. Namo Chintamini Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nityamukto Binadvan Namanamino. Absolute means there's no difference between the name of the divine and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we chant the names of God, and here in our bhakti practice in the line of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, we chant many mantras. The primary mantra we chant is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This mantra is especially recommended in the ancient Vedas for self-realization and developing love of God in this age. And by chanting the Maha Mantra or any legitimate names of God, then we're actually associating with the Supreme Person, and thus and thus the transformational impact. I'll read the text again, and then I'll be glad to hear if anyone would like to share any comments, realizations, or ask any questions, share any doubts. This is Canto 2, Chapter 2, Srimad Bhagavatam, Text 35. Bhagavan Sarva Bhuteshu Lakshita Svatmanahari Drisher Budyadi Birdrashta Lakshaner Anumapakai. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is in every living being along with the individual soul. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence. Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving your power of hearing to Srimad Bhagavatam. I welcome at this time if anyone would like to ask any questions or share any comments. Danishta.
Hi, Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I debated whether to bring this up or not, but I think it's I've been meditating and considering a lot recently about Descartes and his philosophy and how it I don't know how much anyone else thinks about this or knows about this, but it's been on my mind a lot lately. So Descartes, as far as I'm aware, and please correct me, dear, or anyone else, basically is responsible for the split in ancient philosophy where prior to Descartes' assertions, all wild spaces, public places, and everything contained therein had intrinsic value. They were seen to be holy or sacred or having a reason for being on the
Yeah.
planet. After Descartes and his assertions, it became more mechanistic. Everybody that wasn't a human became identified as a machine, an
Mm,
automaton.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a big split, a big divide in how we protect our wild spaces, public places, animals, trees, rivers, rocks
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
after that.
Okay.
So, with the rise of AI, it's very
Mm,
easy to see that thinking is not really the end all be all of
yeah.
consciousness,
Oh,
but
yeah.
consciousness is a symptom of the soul, right? So, that's real. Consciousness is
Yes.
a symptom of the soul, but thinking, at least what I've found
Yeah.
studying and thinking about this particularly is perhaps if we look at what Descartes was struggling with, it is helpful and it has certainly had a transformative impact on the way that we think of things in the world and how we exert our influence over them. Things that have less consciousness or less ability to exert their power in the world in a
Yeah.
way that we could visibly ascertain. However, when I look at like the Bhakti Yoga philosophy, the way that it exists and given to us by Srila Prabhupada, love or service, loving service,
Yeah.
is more quintessentially the manifestation of having a soul. You know, trees in their essential quality are not doing anything, but they are being
Mm-hmm.
loving. They don't think about what will be my return on investment before I output this gas into the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
environment.
Sure.
What is my, rocks are not thinking about, well, what will be my, benefit if I filter the substrate? If I take this water in and I purify it, what will be my benefit?
Yeah.
There's no quantifiable way to say that they have consciousness, like, and really honestly, there's no quantifiable way that I have consciousness other than I'm in here thinking, right? You have to believe that I'm doing that. And you have an experience that you're doing that gives you credit, that gives me credibility to say that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But we can't empirically study a tree or a rock because they're not conversational, but they are relational,
The relational.
and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
do have.
I appreciate that distinction, conversational and relational. Thank
Yeah,
you.
because fungus has the ability to communicate miles
Yeah.
away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something that's going on that's more, and you can see it in crystals when they do the crystal studies where
Yeah.
they will have an intention or a vibration or a consciousness that's positive and they're beautiful fractals, or if it's, negative or seeming to be harsh or embittered, then it becomes, very, very difficult to look at any sort of like continuity in the fractaling. It becomes very disturbed and disintegrated looking. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, Dira, how does this relate to consciousness being a symptom of the soul
Yeah,
and having obviously Krishna is in every atom. Like I really truly believe that. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
I want to understand how Descartes, saying I think therefore I am, which I feel like is very relevant,
Sure.
fits in to this idea of everything having a place and a space and it all being sanctified, and yet we do have to eat plants to survive, and there is a certain hierarchy that goes along with things. Anyways, I hope that's not disruptive. And Hare Krishna, thank you for receiving me.
Thank you, Denishta. Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's not only not disruptive, it's precisely what we're here for, as far as I'm concerned. Such sharing and contemplation and examination of distinctions. Hare Krishna, Dada. And so, well, there's a lot there. And what, yes, let's, I'll share a few brief comments or thoughts, and I'm glad to hear from others. Yes, so, well, we referenced that Descartes to that's kind of like a Western philosopher through the most of the Western philosophers, from the Renaissance, Enlightenment, and like that, they tend to be Sankhya, like trying to analyze the material elements. And he came to the understanding that he's not the gross body, that we are not the gross body. Mm, and so that's why we reference that. And yeah, Descartes, he's like, in a sense, the father of modern dualistic philosophies. Okay, and that's you highlighted that, Denishta, about dualism, and then he made the distinction. So that because he had like the duality, there's matter, and then there's mind. Okay, well then here, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, we take the rationality further. Um, well, mind is also matter. It's subtle matter. It's subtle matter. There's software, there's hardware, and then there's mind and the spirit soul. Further distinction: spirit soul and Paramatma, Supersoul. Further distinction: Supersoul and source of Supersoul, Bhagavan. Okay, so so we reference Descartes a lot because he comes to some good conclusions aligned with Bhagavad Gita. And at the same time, there's more to go, because I think, therefore I am. There's some misidentification of the self with subtle matter, apparently. Again, it's not for me to say what's the extent of Rene Descartes' realizations. Okay, and so thank you, Danishta. So this philosophy is called, the technical name is Achintya Beta Beta Tattva. Achintya Beta Beta Tattva, which means simultaneously and inconceivably one and different. Okay, so there's dualism or non-dualism. Right. Yeah, yay. Harry Bo. Dualism and non-dualism. And it's like, it's this or that. So Bhagavatam, this is this and that. Bhakti, Bhagavatam, Vaishnavism, Bhagavad Gita, Maya Tatamidam Sarvam, um, Yatkinch, Maya Tatamidar Sarvam, Jagad Avyaktamortina Matstani Sarvabhutina Chamte Sarvasita. Ninth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It's Achintya Beta Beta Tattva. And we discussed that earlier. We're God in a sense, and we're also different. The sun rays are non-different from the sun. When the sun rays come to him, we say the sun's coming into Rose's home. It's true, but it's not. But the sun rays are not exactly the same as the sun globe. But they're not completely different either. Each photon of sunlight radiates heat and light, just like the sun globe. So so it's simultaneous. So 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 there's matter and spirit, and a lot of the class that I spoke was about matter and spirit, and that dualism. at the same time, your comment and sharing, Danishta, it really does highlight that it's, it's true, but it's also it's a somewhat superfluous analysis. We can go deeper. As you said, you referenced a verse from Brahma Samhita, Krishna in every atom. Eko pyasora chaitum jagadanda koti yachaktirasti jagadanda chayayaranda andantarasta paramano chantarastam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Paramanu means atom. Hare Krishna Rukmini. Paramanu means atom. So there's a full, just like sitting right next to us in the region of the heart, there's a full expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead called Paramatma, and the same for every atom. So how can we say that material atoms or collections of material atoms that make up that cushion, that it's dead, it's inanimate? We do say that in order to highlight and illuminate distinctions between conscious and non-conscious. But in every atom, there's not just individual consciousness. There's the supreme consciousness. So that gets into a fuller analysis. Still, for practical purposes, it's often helpful to differentiate, conscious beings and non-conscious beings. So, okay, so then a principle in bhakti is called yukta vairagya. Yukta vairagya. Yukta, same root as yoga, which is the origin of English words like yoke, to connect. So, okay. So, prapanchi kataya budya harisambandhi vastuna. Mumukshu bi prityago palgu vaiguragim katyate. Incomplete or false renunciation would be, to use an example Srila Prabhupada uses, okay, let's say there's a wallet on the street. We find a wallet lying on the street. So material consciousness mentality would be, oh, $800 credit cards. This is for me to enjoy. Okay, all right, okay. So that's material. So then incomplete renunciation is, oh, here's a wallet. Oh, this is not my money to enjoy. It's not my driver's license. It's not my credit cards to enjoy. I'm not going to touch it. And it's like, it's material. And there's something noble about that. Okay. But it's not complete. The complete renunciation is like, this is not my wallet to enjoy. But it is someone's wallet. I'm going to return it to them because it's for them to enjoy the credit cards and like that. Okay. So this gets into simultaneous dualism and non-dualism. Okay. So some matter, spirit, and transforming matter into spirit. So we can think of, and I'll be spiritual, so I'll renounce all the material things. I'll go to a forest. And that was Arjuna's idea at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Bhakti is about not intrinsically renouncing the bank account, not intrinsically renouncing the big house. I mean, it could look that way. Bhakti is about renouncing the enjoying spirit and realizing all of the wallets belong to Krishna. He's the owner of all the credit cards. What do you mean? I got credit cards that say David Wolf on it. Nope, belongs to Krishna. The deed of the house is, I got an automobile. No. So that's bhakti realization. It all belongs to Krishna. All the relationships, all the intellectual ability, all of the credit cards, all of the house. That's why, like here we have Rasamrita using her house in Krishna's service, realizing it's not my house, it's Krishna's house, it's Srila Prabhupada's house. Let me use it in the service of the Sankirtan movement. Okay, and then in that way, then matter becomes spirit. Sometimes it's helpful to make the distinction, matter, spirit, but we use an automobile to in service to Krishna, yukta vairagya, where it's not for me to, and then so we renounce the enjoying spirit. Then the irony is then we really enjoy like anything. Because the soul's bliss comes from unconditional, selfless, devotional service to the Supreme Soul. And so when we engage, so that's non-duality. Ultimately, the pure devotee, there's a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Stavarajan Gamadeki Nadeki Taramurti Saracha Hayanija Istadeva Sporti, that the fully realized bhakti, the fully realized devotee of the Supreme, sees everything as spirit. We don't want to imitate that. For us, we want to make distinctions, see everything as spirit. And then the art and the science of devotional life is realizing how to relate to all of the energies in a way that supports myself and others to come to deeper and deeper realization of who we are as not the body, spirit, soul, servants of Krishna. An example, maybe some of you have heard me give, I give this in some seminars. Yeah, okay. What is the vodka in the vodka bottle?
Krishna.
What else could it be? Laura, you got it right. Laura said Krishna. Yes, the vodka in the vodka bottle. Of course, it's Krishna's energy. Therefore, the obvious conclusion, because today was all about logic and rationality. The more vodka I drink, the more self-realized, illuminated, and enlightened I become. Is this being recorded? I'm a little concerned someone will like take that actually. No, he said it. The more, okay, right. So I assert that would not necessarily be a healthy, life enriching conclusion. So it the vodka it is Krishna's energy, but probably the best way for me to relate to it is like not to consume it. If I want to move towards realization, how everything is spiritual, everything is Krishna's energy. Same with, a lot of you have been in Safatov seminar, we do a lot with communication. There are some approaches to communication that will interfere with self-realization and realizing the spiritual nature of all things. And there are some qualities of communication that will enhance an environment, a safe and sacred environment that supports the self to turn towards itself and self-realization. So that way, yeah, there's matter and spirit at the same time, to the extent we realize Krishna in every atom and how to use all the wallets in Krishna's service, then that's non-duality. Then everything transforms into spirit. Thank you, Danishta. Hare Krishna. Eli.
There was a moment of what she said that I thought, in the essence of all things being connected,
Yeah.
Part of what you were sharing felt very like human centric in essence of spirituality.
Yeah.
And she's talking about the tree as if it is to release the gas that humans breathe.
Mhm.
But tree in relation to the effectively the neural network of mycelia under the ground,
Yeah.
when a tree is suffering, it will share its resources so that tree can sustain itself. And the mycelial network has that intelligence that stretches for miles, as you were saying.
It's gone to yeah.
And um, yeah, so it's just interesting to think about sort of like a hierarchical nature to
Yeah.
consciousness. And from a human perspective, I can't hear it speak English to talk to me, but I can see it doing very similar things that we in community do.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious how you reconcile that when um, is it not, as I am, a form of life that sustains itself, that acts to its highest purpose, that's
Yeah.
connected with its sort of realm of truth and influence?
Thank you, Eli. I appreciate your sharing and question. And yeah, Denise to share that nice distinction in a very elegant way that yeah, such entities they're not was it not conversation oriented but relationship oriented. I'd like to understand more, Eli, what you see maybe needs to be reconciled.
Um, Yeah, like does the tree not have a soul? Does the rock not have a soul? Does um the the dead fibers that make up the pillow, are the dead skin on my skin not me? Like what comes out in my you said one of the states of something was the excretion.
Yeah, that's right. That was there. Yeah.
That's like more
Yeah.
bacteria than it is me. That super soul in my heart might be driving some of my actions. So are the more cells that are bacteria in me than are me.
Mm.
And so I'm the observer of all those things, but bacteria drive my actions. Super soul may drive my actions. I may
Yeah.
be the soul as witness to all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But at what point am I not the bacteria and the dead skin and in being embodied in the body,
Mm-hmm.
able to sort of make manifest of all of those reconciliations?
Thank you. Thank you, Eli. I appreciate your elucidation and clarification. Um, well, okay. So, based on somewhat I understand you're asking, um, it's a wonderful direction of discussion from my point of view. There's a text in the Bhagavad Gita, which is like the precursor literature to Srimad Bhagavatam. Bija Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavihastini Shiti Cheva Svapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So it says a fully self-realized person, and like we're talking, they're seeing spirit everywhere, not just artificially, like oh, it sounds cool to say that, but they're really realizing that. And specifically says they're seeing with equal vision. It's called the equal vision. They're seeing with equal vision. Sampane, Pandita Samadarshina. They're seeing with equal vision a cow, an elephant, a dog eater. In some cultures, they eat dogs. A Brahmin, a highly learned professor. Yes. So they're seeing every living entity, the blade of grass, the amoeba. There's a spirit soul equal to the spirit soul that's in this body called David Wolf. So the answer is yes. We get wherever, and related to some what Denise just shared. So just like you might say, 4 basic activities of all life: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Okay, and so whether it's the tiger, the human, the amoeba, they have forms of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And we don't want to neglect our eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So as souls, we're equal. And in the human form of life, we have some special opportunities and responsibilities. We can, we can, so the souls are equal, but there's different coverings. There's different coverings of material intelligence and mind and body. So that's why we're having this, you ask that question. Well, a cat or a dog or a tree is not going to be able to ask that question. Every species has its special gift in God's creation. Our special gift or opportunities, we get to consciously engage in self-realization. We get to consciously engage in activities that are transcendental to eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. The tiger may defend with its claws. We may defend with thermonuclear devices. It's basically defense. The dog may eat what it finds on the street. We may eat in a fancy restaurant, but it's qualitatively the same. So not to neglect eating, sleeping, mating, defending. The recommendation is sure, take care of that, take care of the car, and use the bulk of the time for self-realization, even to engage our eating, sleeping, mating, and defending in self-realization. That's part of the science of bhakti. So, so yeah, it's yeah. In the bacterium, there's a spirit soul. So, there's in this soul there. Yeah, this discussion for me, it's so cool, so neat, because it gets into like, okay, we give different constructs to help us understand basic principles like matter, spirit. So, like in this body, there's the soul, and then there's the body, but then there's another soul, the super soul, the paramatma. So there's 2 souls. But actually, Eli torpedoed that whole stance. It's true. I mean, it's helpful. But this body, there's trillions of souls. You're right. Every cell, every living cell is a soul inside a body of a soul. And all of the worms in our digestive system, excuse me. Okay, that's what came to me. But everything, and every cell and there's a soul. And inside every atom, there's a full expansion of Paramatma. So there's all sorts of consciousness going on in this very body. To understand some basic points, we might not focus on that, but your question unmistakably points to that part of the reality which is described in the Bhagavatam. So that's where it's kind of like, yeah. So that's why the humbles they see they're not seeing, oh, this is a tree, this is a dog, this is a spirit soul, part and parcel of the supreme soul, part and parcel of God, inside the body of a cat, a dog, a tree, a human, like that. And then yeah, and bhakti is the art and the science of how to relate to each soul, whatever body they're in, to support them in their process of consciousness evolution. Does that respond?
Thank you.
Thank you, Eli. I appreciate your philosophical intelligence. Anything else at this time? Premadhatri. Premadhatri is visiting from New Zealand.
So I have a question. It's mostly from the purport today.
Yeah.
It's about intelligence. I was quite surprised when Srila Prabhupada talked about the intelligence being the higher authority, and that's the super self, and then that super self is Paramatma. And I'm just trying to understand that intelligence being my intelligence, or if that intelligence is Krishna.
Thank you, Premadhatri. As I said earlier, I read this purport dozens of times, going back 45 years or so, and that was always something that intrigued me, that aspect of the purport, and I know I related to it with some fresh realizations. I don't know. I'm not and fresh questions. So thanks for going there. Yeah, the form direction of the intelligence. So my understanding there, and I'm sure it's limited and far from complete, is that mind, intelligence, senses, ultimately, they're all coming from Supersoul. All of the all all of the material senses, I'm sure Prabhupada lists 13, they they all of the material and spiritual energies are emanations of Paramatma, emanations of Supersoul. Then specifically, and so we get a particular intelligence and body. Supersoul's giving us that energy in reciprocation with what we desire and what we deserve. That gets into karma and like that. And so we have okay, just like, yeah, Eli mentioned a few minutes ago, yeah, about like in response to Danishta. So let's say a puppy, a puppy is born, right? A puppy is born. And so immediately, without any training, doesn't need to take a course online or in person, it knows where to go to get the milk. Just immediately knows where to go to get the milk. That's intelligence. We can call it intuition, but it's intelligence supplied by Supersoul in reciprocation with the spirit soul that, due to desire and deserve, is in the body of a puppy. And so Supersoul is manifesting in the form of the intelligence that it knows exactly where to go. It knows exactly where to go to get the milk. And so similarly with any species, similarly with any species, that intelligence is an energy of supersoul, one of the 24 material elements like that. And and supersoul reciprocates with the intention and desire of the soul through the energy of intelligence. Yeah, I want to get that university degree. Supersoul through intelligence gives us, okay, yeah, okay, so don't party every night. So then, yeah, you need to study. You need to study here, like that. Yeah, I want to, exactly. I want to enjoy in this way. I want to get respect in this organization. I want to, yeah. So that's my understanding. Intelligence is an energy of supersoul, and it's the particular energy that Paramatma or supersoul relates through to facilitate the desires of the soul. That's my understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you, Premadhatri. Hare Krishna. Rasamrita.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving this class today, Prabhu, on this verse. So it's about making distinctions, and intelligence is to make distinctions. When you say that there's a full expansion of Krishna in the heart, I understand that that sentence isn't, to make us feel good. It's not an accident. What am I to get from the distinction that there's a full expansion of Krishna in the heart? What is there to understand about that?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And that relates to more distinctions. Thank you for that. So it gets into oneness and distinction again. Full, no material limitations. No no material limitations. Fully spiritual, fully free. Fully free. Okay. So it's a full expansion to to utilize all the energies, whether we call them spiritual, material, to facilitate us ultimately for our self-realization. So Krishna's full expansion. Now, okay, then the distinction part. Okay, like there's places, nectar of devotion. That's the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where it describes expansions like Narayan. They actually have 93% of the qualities of Krishna. So in the full into spirit. Now, if we want to get into, okay, within the realm of spirit, okay, then there's like Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, who manifests even more fully than the Vishnus. But that gets into the distinction part.
May I add, Prabhu?
Yeah.
So I struggle with, you could call it self-loathing. So it's like, oh yeah, I have a career, or I want this, or I want that, and I get in my way, which I'm sure many people can relate to, right? Like, oh, I can't lose that 10 pounds, right? Or I can't quite get that goal. And I see a lot of self-defeating stories, and I see a lot of self-defeating habits. And the thing that I'm getting from this distinction is that what could be called self-envy, getting in my way, is actually envy of God.
Yeah.
Because if there's a full expansion in my heart, the only thing getting in my way is me.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada talks about self-love. Srila Prabhupada talks about self-love. Yeah. One place, he's giving a lecture, seventh canto of Bhagavatam. He talks about it. He said, natural to love the body. Oh, body is dead, is it? No, it's natural to love the why do we love the body? Because the soul's inside. Once the soul leaves, what we call death, we want to bury it, burn it. We don't love it anymore. And it's natural to love the soul. It's natural to love ourselves. Because spiritual life means means I have self-loathing. See how humble I am. No, but it's natural to love ourselves. Why? Because we're just like our body is an expansion of us, because we're expansions of Krishna. And Krishna is a supreme lovable object. So like kind of like, yeah, 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 like did Krishna make create an unlovable, loathsome David Wolf? Like a, now, we don't want this to lead to arrogance and conceit and self-absorption. Humility, we can understand that as knowing our position. And so humility is, I surrender to my position. Arjuna's humility was picking up his bow and surrendering to his duty as a kshatriya, as a warrior and as a servant of Krishna. So we surrendering to our position as servants of God. That could sometimes look quiet in the background. It can sometimes look incredibly bold and out there, loud. And so, yeah, the self-loathing can often be just another form of look at me, look at me, look at me. It could be another form in some Sophatov terminology, looking good and being right. So, right. So kind of, I want to look good and be right. Let's say if I put myself out there and I really go to fulfill my full dharma and I take risks to put myself out there, shine brightly. Will everyone applaud and love me? Some will, some surely won't. Will I always show up perfect and complete? Will I sometimes make a fool of myself? I'll just speak personally. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. All right. Okay. Well, then to avoid the possibility of looking bad and like that, to avoid the possibility of condemnation and ridicule, I can use self-loathing as an excuse to not pick up my bow and fight my fight. And there's nothing spiritual there.
And the connection I'm making is the same as you talked about, like my car, my house, these different things, to use them in service to God, this body. And not just this body as like, let me do, but also my temperament and tendency, the things that I feel passionately about, the things that um, I feel a sincere spark towards, and to understand that these come from somewhere.
They come from Supersoul, and they're meant to be used in service of Krishna, not to be denied. Like, and that comes up a lot in our transformational programs, because like the idea of like, oh, being a pure devotee. Here's the thing: if we don't have all of ourselves available, because we're pushing it down out of shame or whatever, the beach ball analogy, if if we're hiding and too scared to express and fully share all parts of ourself, there's no question of pure devotion to God, because we're withholding. We're withholding. They're meant to be, all the wallets, including all of our God-given talents, are meant to be used in service to God. And if we're not, yeah, it's a form of envy of the Supreme Person.
Hare Krishna.
That
Well, I was thinking about something you said, 4 or 5 things back, but then what you just shared with Ross Amrita kind of ties in if I can put it together. So talking before about the web, this is my paraphrasing, um, like not being attached to anything,
Yeah.
then seeing that Krishna's in everything, like you could use everything for service.
Yeah.
And that for what was coming to me then was like there might be a connotation for some people like, oh, being detached means like being really kind of like I'm above it, or I'm not interested. I'm just sort of flatlining. But detachment in the way you're describing it sounds more like you could open yourself up to like extreme pleasure and passion
Yeah.
for
Extreme
service.
enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Extreme
Right.
enthusiasm.
And then, so it's not about flatlining and being really, like, nothing bothers me, but
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I'm enthusiastic. And then what I was hearing from Ross Rachel was kind of like maybe, but I'm wondering if it's like the flip side, like, okay, I'm gonna, like go the other way hard, like I'm so afraid of putting myself out there, I'm gonna like do the opposite of being really enthusiastic. But anyway, this just was on my mind. Just wondering.
Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate where you went with that. Yes, so just like we said, spiritual life has like more expansive, bright, vivid variety and diversity than material life. And there's so much diversity in material life and like that. And so, and that goes for everything, including emotion. So spiritual life is full of transcendental emotion. And then, and at the same time, the practice of bhakti, yeah, it's non-attachment. It's non-attachment with full enthusiasm. And so there's a text, Bhagavad Gita, Yami Navyatyante te pusham pusharshaba samaduka sukam dira somitapaya apate. That and Krishna says one who's not disturbed by material happiness and distress and is steady in both, that's the liberated platform. So it's a distinction. So the idea is like, yeah, to not get absorbed in the material drama and material happiness, distress. I'm being praised. I'm being insulted. Um, I got $1 million. Oh, I'm bankrupt. Not to be absorbed in that emotion and to cultivate our spiritual feeling. And so steady means because the nature of the self is to serve Krishna with love and devotion. And if I'm attached, let's say things go good and I'm on to elation, celebration, and then I'm distracted by just continuing to serve, continuing to serve. And let's say if things aren't going the way I would want to write the script, then I could become disheartened and distressed, or my anger and resentment, someone it's not going well, someone insulted me, then we're not steady. So yeah, to cultivate non-attachment to the material side of things, and then in that steadiness, then spiritual emotion emerges, generally gradually. Spiritual joy, but there's also spiritual sadness and anger. There's spiritual fear. All spiritual emotion is permeated and saturated with Shuddhya Dyasmad Brahmasakam Trinatam, with ever deepening spiritual bliss. I appreciate the conversation. Rohini. Hare Krishna.
I was just thinking about my own experience of, and sometimes experiencing emotions coming by like clouds.
Yeah, like clouds.
Kind of like
yeah,
like, oh, like depression is here, rather than being like, oh, I'm depressed, but rather
yeah,
like, or excitement is here.
Yeah.
I'm not always expert at it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not. I don't, like, most of the time I'm not.
You've had glimpses of realization.
Yeah, but like, but sometimes I feel that detachment. I think that you're talking about, where it's just like, okay, like depression's here. I don't need to go lay in bed and
Yeah.
collapse
Yeah.
under it.
I don't need to give power
Yeah.
to drive my life and my decisions.
Yeah, I can. Okay, depression's here, and I can still go and serve or give in the way that I need to, and not allow it to, get, like you said, give my power away to it.
I appreciate your sharing and realizations. That's kind of where that's where the verse focuses, and I related to we do processes a lot about I'm experiencing the feeling of depression, I'm experiencing the thought that I'm not good enough, I'm experiencing, and that's what this verse is all about. And Prabhupada has quite a epic purport and goes into the distinction between the seen and the seer. So we can let's call it the gross material platform. Oh yes, okay. So that so I'm experiencing these perceptions, but I'm not those perceptions. So in the more subtle platform, I'm experiencing the feeling of anger. Ah, I'm not the anger. I'm the experiencer. That's yeah, that kind of points to like our inspiration to include such process to support us to experience our experience, not to beach ball it, not to put up armor and be alienated, and not to indulge in it. Oh, like, oh, dude, I'm the experiencer. So I appreciate your expression.
And so at the beginning, like there's the detachment comes with I'm just the experiencer. Like it's like I'm not the experience. I'm experiencing that. It's passing through like the cloud. Um,
I like that analogy of the cloud.
yeah. Um, and from that platform, it sounds like I could give myself more fully to the experience. You know, like I'm not
Yep.
like otherwise, if I'm attached, I see myself as trying to control the results or resist what I don't want.
Not
I
trying
mean,
to,
all
yep,
this
yep.
energy, like you were saying with the beach
Yep.
ball and stuff. So if maybe I'm just repeating what you said, actually, now that I think about it. But I was putting in my own words, so it must have been
Yeah.
worth saying. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Yeah, yeah. Right. That we fully be present with the experience and to be attentive to, oh, what's the message here in this experience? Because the awareness of the experience will always move us to super soul realization.
Can you repeat that? Aware, would you?
Awareness of our experience, like if we're attuned and open, will always move us to super soul realization. That's why it's not just some new age, feel your feelings, and that's the goal of life. No, it's to feel our feelings is a foundational principle of conscious living. It's not the whole picture. It's foundational because experiencing my experience, that's going to move me. That's going to move me. Just like the GPS analogy. Like we said, a GPS for a destination. If we go off track, it'll buzz or beep or indicate something. So if I'm experiencing shame, experiencing pain, experiencing alienation, let's not beach ball it and put on a mask. There's going to be message. Oh, okay, oh yeah, I'm off track. Let me get on track to to live fully on purpose with full authenticity. Srimad Bhagavatam ki,
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
So we'll move to the next part of our program. The next part of our program here at the Bhakti Yoga Enlightenment Program at the home ashram of Rasamrita in Gainesville, Florida, is we'll experience mantra yoga in the form of japa. And I'll mention, because my sense is with the group we've assembled here, we could easily do 4 hours of philosophy. No problem. And I'm definitely the leader of that whole thing. So and as any of you know me know, I love to be available for philosophical discussion. Tomorrow morning at my home, I'm going to be hosting a bhakti yoga program. Guess what we'll be doing there? Philosophical discussion. So like I do a lot of this in programs and correspondence, even this evening after the japa and kirtan and during prasad. Glad to be available for more philosophical exchange. So at the beginning of the program, we experienced mantra yoga in the form of kirtan. Now, for those who would like to participate, we'll experience mantra yoga in the form of japa. Let's distribute japa beads to whoever would like.
David, I would like to thank you very much for going into a little bit more depth on that last comment.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take a japa beads. So Okay. So the principle of any meditation technique, really, any multimedia presentation, is that the more senses engaged in an activity, the easier it is for the mind to focus. So, like with mantra meditation, as opposed to some other sorts of meditation, with mantra meditation, we're positively engaging the sense of speech and hearing. And if we use japa beads, we're engaging the sense of touch. And so the basic process is it's generally recommended to use the right hand, thumb, and middle finger, and to start with the bead next to the bead with the tassel, to start to the bead next to the large bead. And with thumb and middle finger of right hand on that bead, chant one mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then move to the second bead away from the large bead and chant one mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then move to the third bead away from the large bead. Chant one mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this way, for those who would like to participate, we'll chant one Maha Mantra on each bead, and that's 108 beads. There's 108 beads on the strand, not including the large bead. And it's a meditation. It's a meditation on sound vibration. It's transformation through sound vibration, self-realization through sound vibration. And the meditation is we simply focus our mind and power of hearing on each syllable of each word of the mantra and be with our experience. That's a theme of our discussion the past hour, 45 minutes. Experience our experience. We focus on the sound vibration of the mantra, experience our experience. If we notice our mind wandering, we simply do our best to bring our mind back to the power, back to the sound of the mantra, and be with our experience. So we'll start with the bead next to the large bead, and we'll do what's called one round of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Japa together. Let's begin. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you for chanting Hare Krishna. Um, well, a theme of our program today, and including this Bhagavatam verse 2:235, has been I am experiencing, and the distinction between the experience and the experiencer. I'll ask if anyone in a less is more format, meaning one or two words or a short phrase, would like to share what you're experiencing in the form, rigorously in the form, I am experiencing, and then complete that in one or two words or a short phrase. I am experiencing.
I'm experiencing melting.
Melting.
Melted.
Melted. Melted. Thank you, Parampara Prabhu.
I'm experiencing settled. Settled.
Settled. Settled, secure. Got it. Okay. Laura.
I'm experiencing alignment.
Alignment. Thank you, Laura.
I am experiencing pulsation.
Pulsation. Thank you, Feather.
I'm experiencing the space in my head seems larger.
Expansiveness,
Yeah.
spaciousness. Thank you, Dadam. Thank you, Dadam.
I experience myself ringing like a tuning fork with the right frequency.
Reverberating, vibrating in, yes, yes, and concordance. Thank you.
I experienced unified and harmonized.
Unified and harmonized. Thank you, Rukmini.
I'm experiencing saturation.
Saturation. Thank you. Brayden.
I'm experiencing warmth.
Warm.
I'm experiencing togetherness.
Togetherness. Thank you, Lindsay. Anyone online like to share in the form I am experiencing?
I am experiencing relaxation, playfulness, and curiousness. Curiosity.
Relaxation, playfulness, curiosity. Everyone's so on contract. I'm experiencing joy, enthusiasm, and playfulness. Okay. In a few moments, we'll go to the next part of our Bhakti Yoga Enlightenment program, Maha Mantra in the form of Kirtan, and then we'll honor Prasadam, which is sanctified vegetarian feast, and that Prasadam eating process is also an integral part of the bhakti process, and I'm happy about that. I'll mention that, as I mentioned, this chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on japa, this is a cornerstone, a main pillar of my bhakti yoga process, going back to the early 1980s, along with regularly reading all of Srila Prabhupada's books. Since 1983, in 1983, I made a vow to chant at least 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra per day. And, well, there's many things in my life I feel good and satisfied about, many accomplishments. Maybe it's material pride or whatever it is, but whatever that may be. And the achievement I am most proud of is that for 43 years, I've fulfilled my vow to chant at least 16 rounds per day of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Not just, oh, I've checked the boxes, but for me, it's the main process daily to tap into the reservoir of spiritual joy and steadiness and strength, and to not confirmed to not be disturbed by the inevitable disturbances of life, which, in case you haven't noticed, are there every day. And yeah, and so and it's described, as we described earlier, for this particular mantra to be fully effective, there's no rules or regulations, nakala. And so sometimes I'm chanting sitting with a group, sometimes I'm standing, walking outside, um, and one can, we could be driving in the car and chanting. If I'm like chanting the rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to fulfill my vow of 16 rounds, I don't count driving chanting as part of that. But apart from, fulfilling a commitment, it's described, there's no rules. The more we chant Hare Krishna, the happier we become. Okay, so do you have some plant for who's leading the next part?
Parampara.
From Prabhu, thank you.
I understand, Rukmini may play.
A whole family, a family service. I see a guitar here.
And there's a surprise during Prashad, and Rohini is going to play one of her original songs for us.
Oh, wonderful. Hare Krishna. Okay, Parampara and family. Hare Krishna.
Sounds like a stand-up your time sort of situation.
Ready?
If you're willing. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Bhakti Bhakti Swam Niti Namo Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Fraternity.
Oh.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Vedanta Shri Sari
I can't.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Hare Hare,